Man, I'm going to be going on a little bit of a rant. Miles Sanders said some things that I just really didn't like. And he made me feel like he was very entitled in a lot of ways. And I have to talk about this. This video I was making today was really going to be about the running backs in general. But this right here really put the icing on the cake when it comes to entitlement and just from certain things that were said from Miles Sanders. Now with being with the Carolina Panthers. So going to talk about some of that. I don't know how it's going to go, but it is what it is. Let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
So there's some things to talk about here. Miles Sanders had some things to say, and I want to put that up right now and show you guys. Now, Miles Sanders says he was disappointed with his number of Super Bowl touches. Okay, last game of the season, for all the marbles that they put themselves in my shoes, would they be happy? I don't want to make headlines, but if it does, I don't care. Maybe you should ask them why I'm moving here. I mean, the Super Bowl was going fine offensively. Okay, as we know, this offense goes through our passing game first before anything. This offense goes through Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. I think we all know this by now, okay? There is no other running back from that Super Bowl, Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, that are complaining like this, okay? Miles Sanders was dancing too much in that Super Bowl. Okay, he was dancing way too much. He's been doing that his whole entire career in Philadelphia. Okay, and like I said, there's no disrespect towards Miles Sanders. He's one of my favorite players and appreciate everything he has done in Philadelphia. But this has to be said now since he's not on our team and why the Eagles are going a different direction. Yeah, Miles Sanders was very affordable at $6 million a year when he signed with the Carolina Panthers. But we all know the Eagles don't put money into running back. They don't put money into linebacker. They just don't. Okay, drafting Miles Sanders in the second round was, besides Wendell Smallwood in the third round, they've drafted some running backs crucially high, not first round, but yes, I understand all of that. The running game was just not working in that game. It was a pass heavy game, and it was working perfectly fine. The only thing that really went wrong with this offense was Jalen Hurts and his scoop and score fumble. Isaac Seumalo went offsides on the QB sneak, and the next play, Jalen Hurts fumbled the football. But we were still up by 10 points at halftime. Okay, we were still up by 10 points. Okay, so Miles Sanders needs to realize this. Okay, back to full screen because I really want to make my point here. Okay, Miles Sanders was what? He was 7 for 16. Boston Scott, he was 3 for 8. Kenneth Gainwell, the second best running back on this team right now, he was 7 for 21. So really combined, almost 50 yards, not even that. Okay, the run game was just not working. This was a pass heavy game, and just kind of like our last Super Bowl in 2017 was pass heavy over was 1,000 yards passing. I mean, it was a crazy Super Bowl. We all know this. The run game was just not working. Like some things, you have to if the run's not working, you have to stray away from it. The Eagles have a lot of weapons on the outside. Has a great tight end. So if he's going to be mad because that he thinks that he would have been the difference on this team, he wouldn't have been the difference in that Super Bowl. Okay, all we were trying to do in that second half was get the ball back to Jalen Hurts, and we couldn't. You know what I mean? The defense couldn't get the ball back to Jalen Hurts, and that's what really annoyed me. The defense fell apart. Obviously, there was a lot of outside situations with the field, the slippery, everyone's slipping all over the place that I still won't get over till this day. I don't care how much I complain about it. I'm over it now, but, the game's over now. Miles Sanders needs to realize that he was expendable. Nick Sirianni did not value Miles Sanders, not in the passing game, which when you look back at it, when he was drafted in 2019, whatever it was, okay, Miles Sanders was, utilized probably the most perfect way by Doug Peterson. He was a dual threat back in 2009. I love the way Doug Peterson used Miles Sanders, okay? And then they really strayed away from that. And then when Nick took this team over, they barely ran the ball because Nick was calling the plays. So he, the last year with Doug, he barely ran. Miles Sanders was still fresh. He had fresh legs after that year. In 21, he barely ran the football with Miles, not until like the middle to the end of the year, and then gave Miles Sanders the bulk of carries in that wild card game against Tampa Bay. Not even being 80% healthy going into that game. And Jordan Howard was dealing with a stinger injury and all that stuff that was going on. You know what I mean? So there was a lot going on. But Miles Sanders can't say that he's the difference maker. He's not the difference maker. And honestly, he had his carries. You know what I mean? He had somewhat of his carries. Yeah, it wasn't enough, but it wasn't working. Boston Scott's not complaining about it. Kenneth Gainwell's not. And Kenneth Gainwell has been really the pass catcher running back in this offense. That's just the truth. They used more of Kenneth Gainwell in 22 when it came down to, red zone and just giving him the ball a lot more. Obviously, in the passing game, they relied on Kenneth Gainwell a lot more than they really relied on Miles Sanders. That's just the truth. Okay. Miles Sanders, once Nick took over, that was it. I mean, Miles Sanders has dealt with his fumbles. He's dealt with his drops, dancing around way too much. Like, even when we had Wendell Smallwood as a third-round pick, Wendell Smallwood got better every single year. The Eagles know how to use running backs so well in this offense because your trenches are so good. Your offensive line is so good that you don't have to spend big money on running backs. Not that you could just plug in anybody. You could plug in a really bad running back and still look good, but with at least a medium tier type running back to a high tier, especially if you get a better talent, which I think the Eagles upgraded 2 times at running back this year. And people complain, they say to me, well, you can't replace a 1,000-yard running back. Everybody's acting like Miles Sanders had 3 1,000-yard seasons. If he had 3 1,000-yard seasons, I'd be like, yeah, I think we really have to try to keep him here. But obviously, he would have got paid a lot more than $6 million a year if that was the case. But you never know because, running backs are not really valued in this league because, like I said, if your trenches are that good and the Eagles have a top 3 offensive line in the league, you don't have to pay running backs. So if he's going to take it to heart that, he had to sign somewhere else or they didn't value him or they didn't trust him enough in that Super Bowl, the Eagles, he wouldn't have been a difference maker in that Super Bowl. That one pass, that dump off pass they gave to him, and thank God, he took like a step. He almost took like a half a step, and I thought it was a fumble, and that would have been another scoop and score touchdown, easy touchdown for the Chiefs. Thank God it wasn't, and I think they just strayed away from him after that. Like I said, Boston Scott didn't have a big game. Kenny G didn't have a big game. Okay, so at the end of the day, when it comes to Miles Sanders and what he thinks is, he was pissed off about the carries. Come on now, dude. Like, it's not all about these running backs. You know what I mean? Everyone's got to get a hand on the ball. This was a passing game. I mean, KC was passing the ball a lot. Obviously, they were running with Pacheco, and they were doing some different things. But, we really had to rely on our wide receivers. This offense is built through our passing game first before the run. This offense is built through A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. That's why you're paying A.J. Brown a lot of money. That's why Devontae Smith is a total beast last year. Okay, that's why Dallas Goedert is probably the 3rd best tight end in this league, probably top 2 in my opinion. Okay, so he could cry all he wants, whatever the case may be with that. He should have just shut his mouth because it's going to make headlines. He knows it's going to. Okay, like any player could have complained. Zach Pascal could have complained. Anybody could have complained about not getting enough touches. This is probably the best thing that ever happened to him was go to another team and see what he does in Carolina. I honestly don't care. If we see highlights or during our games or we see what's going on and Miles Sanders having a good year, good for him. You know what I mean? I don't wish anything bad upon Miles Sanders, but he was not a focal point in this offense. Nick Sirianni didn't trust Miles to be a dual threat back until now, which I'm getting to the next thing. Okay, that's the Miles Sanders situation, what he said, and I didn't have enough touches. Seriously, dude? Like, you're going to complain about touches? Like, this offense was perfectly fine. Okay, this offense put 35 points. This offense was fine. The offense was waiting for the ball. He was waiting for, KC to punt the ball and the Eagles get the ball back. You know what I mean? Like, the defense was a huge blame in that Super Bowl. The coaching was a huge blame in that Super Bowl. So special teams, huge blame in that Super Bowl. There's a lot more blame to go around. And because Miles Sanders didn't get enough touches, it's just ridiculous. So what did the Eagles do this year? You know what I mean? You got DeAndre Swift. You got Rashad Penny. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Rashad Penny was like, okay, great signing. He just has to stay healthy. Like, both of these guys, all really that has to happen is one of these guys needs to just stay healthy the whole year. If they can get one of Rashad Penny or DeAndre Swift to stay healthy, we're going to have a great year. And yes, I'm not phasing out Kenneth Gainwell. Everyone's like, oh, you don't like Kenneth Gainwell, blah, blah. I do. But I feel like you have a better talent when healthy with DeAndre Swift. You are going to see that DeAndre Swift is a better running back than Miles Sanders. Rashad Penny is a better running back than Miles Sanders. That's just the truth. Okay, Rashad Penny only played 5 games last year. Okay, Swift only played, he only lost like 3 games. You know what I mean? He only didn't show up in 3 games last year. So he was a little bit hurt, but he came back. It wasn't no big deal. But when I saw the video of DeAndre Swift catching these deep balls the other day, like at least the last day of OTAs or second to last day, even some of the throws that we've been seeing, that what hurts is some of these throws that they're getting these running backs into, these deep balls going downfield, it's starting to make me realize that they really like DeAndre Swift, as that dual threat back, and they're going to use him that way. As much as I want to use Kenneth Gainwell as a dual threat and go out in the passing game, DeAndre Swift is just going to be better. Okay, he's just going to be better. And like I said, Rashad Penny is playing for himself. The Eagles probably won't re-sign him. There's been some rumors about DeAndre Swift signing with the Eagles and re-signing. He's 24 years old. You're not picking up a 30-year-old running back. You know what I mean? Let's just think of it. Back in 2017, we didn't pick up LeGarrette Blount until like June. You know what I mean? It was late. It was a late signing, and obviously the Eagles have 4 open roster spots for more designated players that they can really either trade for or really what's out there in free agency. Okay, so as what I'm seeing through OTAs with not much of Penny. I haven't seen a lot of video with Penny. Mostly what I've been seeing is DeAndre Swift and using him in the passing game. I think with DeAndre Swift wanting to be that focal point of your offense, he's the number 1 running back in Philadelphia right now. Distribution of carries, what happens? Who knows? If DeAndre Swift is on a roll, and like they will still distribute carries. If DeAndre Swift is really just on fire, they are going to push his carries a little bit more. They're going to put a little bit more on him. Plus, he's from Philly. Plus, he's got that attitude. Him and Jalen Hurts are going to be perfectly fine. That read option, RPO, just that in general, on top of the receivers that you have, on top of the offensive line, on top of the threat of Jalen Hurts' legs, this is going to be very dangerous for teams. I think with DeAndre Swift, I think when it comes to vision, it's elite. I think he cuts at 100% speed, okay, on a cut of a dime. Okay, Rashad Penny runs through the tackles so well, can make guys miss, welcomes contact, loves to hit people. Penny has done a number on us. Swift has done a number to us. Okay, even the first game last year, Detroit in 22, even the first game we played, DeAndre Swift had some good runs. I mean, even when not the best offensive line, he still played really well. Just imagine this offensive line with DeAndre Swift, with Rashad Penny. Okay, if you distribute these carries well between Gainwell and then even adding Boston Scott into the mix, this is going to be dangerous. This is going to be very, very dangerous. I think Eagles fans should be really happy about it. So I love Miles Sanders. I have no problem with him, but his take on he should have had more carries in the Super Bowl, he would have made a difference, and why the Eagles went this direction with these 2 running backs. Yeah, Rashad Penny cost $600,000 for the year with incentives. Of course he was cheap. Okay, of course he was cheap because he was hurt. He only played 5 games last year, and Swift just wanted out so bad. They gave up a 25 4th-round pick. 25. Not 24, 25. 2 years down the line, the Eagles have to give up a 4th-round pick. We got him for free against the cap for DeAndre Swift, he's only like 1 point something million, not even $2 million. I mean, he's cheap. He's cheap, period. I mean, you got, and obviously I have more trust in Swift, DeAndre Swift staying healthy than Rashad Penny, but you never know, because you can use Rashad Penny as a finisher because he's a bigger back that's very elusive and kind of the running backs that the Eagles really like to use, that Nick Sirianni likes to use. He likes those 5'10", 5'11", 215 to over 220-pound running backs that are, he likes those bigger, elusive backs. Swift obviously is not like a bruiser back, but with his vision, more explosiveness than Miles Sanders, better elite. The vision is insane. I don't even know. Like it's really, really dangerous I'm afraid for other teams. I'm actually fearing for their lives on the field for what they're going to have to deal with this tandem, with Kenneth Gainwell on top of it, with Boston Scott. Interesting enough, I'd like to see who they're going to treat in the passing game. And I think DeAndre Swift, as we've seen so much video on it, they're not just throwing like a dump-off pass to DeAndre Swift. I mean, he's running like a post-corner. I mean, he's going deep, and Hurts is throwing these deep passes to him. It's just like how Doug used Miles Sanders in 2019. I loved how they used Miles Sanders. And I felt like even when Miles Sanders had a 1,000-yard season with the Philadelphia Eagles last year, I felt like he was still underutilized. I feel like they didn't get the best out of him. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's just more that you could do here. And from what you were able to afford, I think you did a pretty good job. I mean, I didn't think DeAndre Swift was really going to be on the table. The third day of the draft, which is supposed to be the most boring day of the draft, where really nothing happens. We're just sitting and we're just letting the draft just roll the way it is. And the Eagles move up and they get Keely Ringo, and then, and then they trade a pick. And then all of a sudden the news comes out for DeAndre Swift. Swift want to be the focal point in the Lions. They were just, they want to move on. You know what I mean? And they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. So we kind of have to thank that for happening, because this trade probably wouldn't have happened. Who knows? I didn't expect two running backs to, I didn't expect Gibbs, especially. I knew Bijan Robinson was going to get drafted early, but I didn't expect Jahmyr Gibbs to get drafted. Two running backs got drafted, the top 15. And guys, it happens. Like everyone, no one's going to draft. It happens. Two running backs got drafted easily. So, I think there's good things to take out of it. And like I said, if one of these two guys is healthy, teams better pray. If both of these guys are healthy, oh man. If both of these guys are healthy the whole entire season, I'm telling you, it's going to defenses are not going to know what to do. You have so many good running backs with different skill sets that have different value and what they could do best. And there's good things to really take out of it. I love it. I mean, I can't wait to see DeAndre Swift and the Eagle. I can't wait to see him. DeAndre Swift has not been with a mobile quarterback in his career. Never, since high school. And I would love to see what that is going to entail, like in this offense, with this offensive line. I mean, Swift gets to the second level. He could have 1,000 yards. He could have more than that. Rashad Penny could have 1,000 yards. You have two guys here that promising could get you a lot of yards here. So, like I said, the Miles Sanders quotes, it's BS. It's stupid. Okay. And for him to think that he was going to be the main, I need more carries, I didn't get enough carries. Well, whatever carries you had, okay, which was what did I say before? 7 for 16 yards. You had 7 carries and did nothing. He averaged 2.3 yards in the Super Bowl. Okay, he didn't do much of anything. The run game just didn't work. There are going to be some games where the run game just doesn't work. It's just what it is. You know what I mean? That just happens. And then the Eagles have to change their game plan and pass a lot more. If they have to pass all game, and that's what they did. But I can't blame the offense in that Super Bowl. Besides the scoop and score from Jalen Hurts, but like I said, the Eagles were still up by 10 points. It came down to giving Jalen Hurts the football. The defense couldn't get Jalen Hurts the football again. Really couldn't. And that's just the truth. Special teams failed, defense failed, and Jalen Hurts, the defense couldn't get Jalen Hurts the damn football. It was annoying. It was that annoying. So that's all I really got to say about that whole situation. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm so excited to see, obviously, training camp with these running backs and what these guys are going to bring to the table and how they're going to use Rashad Penny and how they're going to use DeAndre Swift. two guys that were focal points with different teams and obviously have dealt with injuries. Rashad Penny's a little bit more injury prone than Rashad Penny's more injury prone than DeAndre Swift, missed more time, but I'm actually glad, I think it's actually a good thing that Penny missed more time. He only played 5 games last year, so he missed a lot of time. But at the same time, at least his injury didn't come late, in the season where he, or something like that. At least that didn't happen. So at least you have somewhat trust that he, rehabbed and all that went really well. And he had more time to get his body back in shape because, trust me, I have ideas in my head of how I would use these running backs, and I think I think you make your focal point, and you make DeAndre Swift your focal point. Rashad Penny I would use as like your finisher, tire out defenses. I mean, it's really scary of what it's to come. I know there's a lot of people that don't really like this running back room, but you are going to see, and I'm going to say I told you so, of why you should be excited for both of these running backs. And Miles Sanders' comments were just stupid. That sounded so selfish. It didn't sit with me well. Like really, like you're gonna throw everyone under the bus, throw your coaching staff under the bus, and be like, oh, I should have got more carries. Really now, like you would have made the big difference, and in 7 carries you didn't. So, you know what I mean? After you almost fumbled the damn football, that's all I gotta say. You get a dump off pass and you literally almost fumbled. He took a half step. I mean, he took one more step. It would have been a fumble. It would have been a scoop and score. You know what I mean? Like that. Luckily that didn't happen, even though we still lost. But so that's the news on all of that stuff going on. Now, the last thing I want to talk about real quick is the Kelly Greens. Okay, now the stores are starting to pack up in Philadelphia on the Kelly Green jerseys. I don't know if they're in the pro shop yet, but they're starting to put the Kelly Greens on the shelves right now. So as you're looking at this, there are some people that took pictures of the Kelly Greens in stores, and is this what they're going to look like theoretically? I guess. I hope so. I like them. I mean, it's Kelly Green, and it looks, the original, obviously the Eagles, the old Eagles logo. And we'll see what happens. I don't know what everyone's, the new word art. I don't know if the new word art is on there or what they're using. I think the new word art would look really good on the Kelly Greens. There are rumors right now that they're going to unveil the entire uniform in July. Okay, so now I don't know, because they unveil them, are they going to start selling them in July? That I don't know, but there are rumors right now that the Kelly Greens are going to be unveiled in July. The Eagles are going to put out, obviously they're going to, like I said, they're going to put it on the internet. Everyone's going to see, I think the way they're going to make more money on this is if they wait like 2 weeks before the game, they're going to wear Kelly Greens. They announce it, and then the jerseys will be up for sale, and then people could buy them, which will make more people buy them. I mean, they're going to sell it like crazy. So, keep an eye out on Kelly Green jerseys, because if they put them up for sale on NFL Shop, they're going to go real quick, and you probably won't get your hands on one until like the end of the year. So look out for that as of right now. So other than that, that's pretty much it. We talked about Miles Sanders. We talked about the quote that he did say, Rashad Penny, DeAndre Swift, and this running back core in general. And I think it's going to be one of the best running back cores, because you have so many bodies at that position now, and plus Boston Scott. Like I said, Kenny G has had just great. Kenny G has really turned into a fantastic player for the Eagles. But obviously, if the Eagles were very comfortable with Kenny G, they would have made him the focal point in here. I think they like Kenny G a lot. I just think they needed more, and they did. And then I think they got their money's worth, to be honest with you. They got DeAndre Swift for free, and they got Rashad Penny for free. So that's how I kind of think about it. And let me know about your comments down about all that stuff. And what do you think of the running back core in general? And what do you think about Miles Sanders' quotes? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like I said, I'm just opinionated. That's just who I am. And I just, talk about this stuff the way I feel. And that's it. If you guys laughed this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video. We're going to have more live streams. We're going to have some guests and some good stuff going on. I'm very excited for that. And, we'll have some promising things happening soon. So we're waiting for training camp now. OTAs officially was over a couple days ago, and now we are officially waiting for training camp. And I'm already ready. I'm ready to report. I'm ready to get this thing going. And and see what happens here with the back end of our roster. So you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes it up, follow, slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.